Approximately 10,000 years ago, a 3-ton space rock found a path that would intersect with our Earth's orbit. The chance of this collision was very slim, the chances of someone ever locating it even slimmer. That's what happened in 1976. 2 young prospectors, while searching for the Lost Arch gold mine, stumbled on this space rock in a very remote location of the Mojave Desert. We at Land Ops would like to take you back in time to the exact spot of this find and tell you the story of the Old Woman Meteorite.
So this is a story about the Old Woman Meteorite. Now, that's its official name. The name of the documentary is Mysteries of Lucky Nugget. And we didn't just make that name up. That name came straight off of the placer mine claim that one of the prospectors filed in San Bernardino County. And it just jumped off the page and into my heart, into my emotion. So the name Lucky Nugget really does, we feel, convey the excitement, the astonishment, the amazement, the wonder of the discovery of the Old Woman Meteorite, which is its official name. We're not advocating in any way by the name of this documentary or this story that the name should be changed. Okay, the name is what it is. But when you read the story of the Old Woman Meteorite and the 2 prospectors that found it and the legal battle afterwards over the rights, and there's sort of a dark cloud over the whole story, and you sort of lose the sense. There's like an overshadowing, and you lose the sense of all the excitement and the astonishment and the wonder of finding something absolutely so unusual. So this is our reasoning for choosing the name Lucky Nugget. It jumped right off the page and into our heart and touched the emotion of what it must have been like to discover the 2nd largest meteorite in the United States. Mysteries of Lucky Nugget is presented by the Land Ops Adventure Radio Club. It's been said Land Ops is one of the most unique adventure clubs out there. Yet the Land Ops experience can be described in just a few common words.
Hi, my name is Fernando, and I have a interesting hobby. I enjoy doing research and exploring in the desert, and my passion has led me to get training on desert navigation, on many of the survival aspects, and also doing research as to what type of life was out in the desert. And over the years, I've become more acquainted with the different life and industries that actually flourish in the desert, like the mining industry, and also visiting some of the older ones that have the Native American petroglyphs. Also, as you know, that there have been many water springs out there that support the bighorn sheep, the mule deer, mountain lions, just seeing all the life, including the wild burros. There's really quite a bit to see out there.
To find something like what was found in the California desert in 1976 is not just rare.
It's pretty much a statistical impossibility. Say you decided to go out today looking for a gold mine, and as rare as it is, you'd still have an astronomically greater chance of finding a gold mine than to find a 6,070-pound iron meteorite. If you decided to search for a space rock of this size, the odds of you succeeding don't even exist. Perhaps this is the greatest of its mysteries. It is the closest thing to an impossible discovery. And yet two prospectors, Mike Jendrzak and David Freiberg, set out to find the Lost Arch gold mine, and instead discovered something exceedingly more rare. It was truly an astonishing find. Today, if you visit the Old Woman Mountains, a stony figure can be seen standing high up on the rocks. Perhaps the old woman was the only one to witness the final glory of this meteorite when it fell to the earth thousands of years ago. She was certainly there when the two prospectors happened upon this remarkable gem within her treasure fields. There was no impact crater, no sign or evidence of an impact site. The second largest meteorite to be discovered in the United States simply laid among the rocks in a remote canyon. The prospectors' claim, called Lucky Nugget, as fitting as the name may sound, is still somewhat of an understatement. Perhaps equal to the understatement that it was a tragedy that no reward or finder's fee was ever issued to the prospectors. The plan in December 2017 was to return to the discovery site, the exact location where the meteorite had been found in 1976. You would think this would not have been one of the mysteries, but for some reason there were many inconsistencies as to where the meteorite was actually found.
Different people would post coordinates that were false as to where it was found. It was in the general area, but it was not the actual area.
Fernando had made numerous trips all around the Old Woman Mountains, checking the various posted coordinates, and one by one, eliminating the false reports.
Including Wikipedia, which listed about 7 miles north of this area.
Even the prospectors had several different claims. One of the amended claims stated it was located 1,000 feet down in the Sheep Camp Spring Wash. That would mean it was in the next canyon over. Was this a legitimate mistake, or perhaps a decoy plan in an effort to protect their discovery?
Part of the problem was that the full coordinates were not available, and at the time they found them, they only recorded the hours and minutes. So there was still a large area that needed to be pinpointed. So in my attempt to find out where the find was, over the years I hiked to different locations, but this particular location always caught my eye, but it seemed so hard to get to because it's a 5-mile hike between here and the foothill, and then from the foothills up it's very jagged and very unforgiving terrain to do any type of exploring.
The meteorite site is back in the wilderness, so it's not Area 51. It can be hiked to. But the gate and the extensive fence line have an unwelcoming appearance. The other gates and fence lines in the area are not nearly as elaborate as this one is.
Why do they do this? they want to keep people away from the mountain, or what is the big secret? And part of the secret that I was after is, why wasn't there any information on the actual find site? Why didn't they report where the impact site may have been, the crater or lack of crater, anything to do with that, anything to do with the studies of the actual find site?
He used old photographs taken in 1976 to help identify topographical features.
So the meteorite extraction site was found sort of in a forensic way, with Fernando looking at photographs and then looking at Google Earth and seeing the terrain and realizing that where it said that it was found really wasn't where it was found. And the telltale was in the geography. And in the geography, he could see through photographs that the helicopter was extracting the meteorite out at this point back here behind this gate.
This was a painstaking process that began with satellite imagery, looking at general terrain features. But ultimately, it would become a rock-by-rock comparison.
So I knew that rocks, for the most part, don't move very often, and that they are going to be like fingerprints.
When he was confident that he had narrowed it down to a group of rocks, he led a Landops exploratory hiking team to help him pinpoint the precise location of where the meteorite was extracted from. This hike took place in December 2017. A smoke grenade used to guide the Marine helicopter into the extraction site confirmed that we were in the right area. At one point, the team seemed to have found the meteorite site, but it was hard to say conclusively. There seemed to be a little confusion, certainty mixed with uncertainty. Rocks in the photos looked strikingly familiar, but appeared to be in places that didn't make any sense. We looked at camera angles and concluded that some of the pictures could not have been taken from those angles. Like a house of mirrors, rocks seemed to be inside out. Then, a vein in a rock running the wrong way tipped us off to the problem. Many of the photographs Fernando was referencing from 1976 had been published backwards.
This particular rock has got a hole in the top, and it's got a crack coming down one side of it. And after all the research, we came to find out that this particular picture was developed backwards.
Moments later, holding the photos up to the light in reverse, the team was able to identify the exact location where the meteorite had been hoisted from. We never imagined the discovery site would be so difficult to find. Today, you can easily view the Old Woman Meteorite on display at the Desert Discovery Center in Barstow, California. But to arrive at the actual discovery site was a special kind of reward. The meteorite had long been discovered and removed, but the spirit of discovery was still in the air. When someone sees a shooting star in the night sky, they say, "Look, wow!" And you try to get a glimpse of the final glory of something that has been traveling in space for ages. The glory of Lucky Nugget must have been extraordinary. And its resting place, like finding the end of a rainbow. Monetarily, it would have been better for the prospectors had they found gold instead. In the case of Lucky Nugget, the spirit of discovery came with a great sacrifice. During the first hike, much time was lost due to the backwards photos, and there was not enough daylight remaining to search for any kind of impact site. As it was, the hike team had arrived back at the support base after dark. So a second trip was scheduled to further research possible impact sites. Certainly, there were researchers that came before us, but their reports were either filed and hidden away, or were never written at all. It's common thinking that a large meteorite will leave some sort of impact crater. Like the huge crater in the neighboring state of Arizona, the impact site of a meteorite can be even more spectacular in size than the meteorite that created it. The crater is evidence of the enormous energy displaced during a meteorite impact. We wanted to know if there was any remaining evidence of pulverized rock that might indicate a lower velocity impact higher up in the canyon. Perhaps the meteorite then bounced down into the canyon like a giant bowling ball before finding its resting place. For this particular hike, the team would consist of 3 Land Ops members: Fernando Ramirez, KJ6YOS, John Emig, W6CYS, and myself, KI6QBM. The first step, however, was to get John Emig to the remote hike support base. But John had encountered washed-out roads, and we needed to find a way to get our third operator to our base location.
Yes, sir. I am here, W6CYS.
Okay, are you eastbound on the railroad track road? Okay, are you on the south side of the tracks or the north side?
The north side.
Okay.
The hike support base was not located at the gate we saw earlier. That would have been a 12 to 13 mile round trip. Instead, Fernando positioned the hike support base on a road further north. From that departure point, we would shave 4 miles off the round trip. Fernando and I would hike back up to the site where the meteorite was hoisted from. John would remain back at the support base and monitor our activities both by radio and by APRS.
I will be providing a safety net for Chris and Fernando, who are going to hike into some very, very remote area. We're going to put up a repeater at the mouth of the canyon that will allow us to talk to them all the way up into the canyon and all the way back. And we're also going to put in that same location, we're going to put a digipeater, which will relay their APRS, which is Automatic Packet Reporting System, which is a ham radio based system for keeping track of people in the field. And it will send back packets to me. My computer will decode them and put them on a map, and I will be able to see where they are at all times.
We needed to set up a repeater site near the mouth of the canyon. The plan was for John to hike with us the first 3 miles. Together, we would set up both the radio repeater and APRS digipeater systems.
It will send out a packet every 2 minutes from each of them, so I will know basically in real time where they are at all times.
Then, as Fernando and I continued up into the canyon, John would hike the 3 miles back to the support base and monitor us for the duration of the operation. During each leg of the operation, we were all in communication with each other. Upon arriving at the discovery site, we continued our considerations of where the meteorite may have fallen.
You ever see that?
The lack of a reported impact site anywhere in this area was certainly one of the mysteries we wanted to solve.
Right here. And but I have pieces up here. So
These are fragments of the meteorite?
searching this area here, and I'm finding these small bits of what appear to be the bits of meteorite. They are magnetic. They are right in this area. You can see the coloring of the rock where the meteorite was found. So this particular area was stained by, you see the rust and the fact that it was here. You've got some more here, and you got some more little bits of rust here. So this is where the picture shows that the Marines are rigging it. But what I'm trying to do is see where I can find some of these fragments. And
Fernando began searching for shards of the meteorite.
Or if they're coming just from one side. I have found them on the right.
He found many of these small magnetic fragments underneath where the meteorite had been resting.
And what I'm going to see if I can establish some kind of a direction where these pieces are coming from. And that way I can go ahead and try to determine what direction it rolled down and possibly find some more evidence.
He found more shards slightly higher up the canyon wash, indicating probable movement from a higher position.
So I just found a couple of small pieces under this rock, which is on the left side of this rock that was behind the meteorite find. So that tells me that the pieces are coming from the back, and they're coming around the rock. So it doesn't confirm exactly what side of the wash this thing was rolling down, but it does tell me that if these are pieces from it, that it's shedding off pieces as it's rolling down and hitting other rocks, and they're chipping off. So I'm going to move some rocks around here and see if I can continue the pattern here. It's another small piece there. You can see it's lodged in. I'm going to go ahead and magnet.
Fernando followed the trail of magnetic shards up the wash. And it wasn't long before we were standing among magnetized rocks in what appeared to be a debris field of smaller rock fragments.
Okay, and what's interesting about this rock here, it's got the same rusty pattern, and it's got that strong magnetic. And what's interesting, there's another piece here, but the reason why this interests me is that if you look around here, we have a lot of big rocks, and here we have a lot of small rocks, and they only go up a little ways. It may have been that that's where it hit and crumbled a bunch of rocks. So let's go up and take a look at that.
So that's magnetic.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're thinking it might have, there's all these small rocks, everything's big rocks, but here is all pulverized rock.
Right. So let me just climb up a little more. See if
And you
there's
found the magnetic rock here.
Yes, embedded in these rocks.
On the steep west-facing slope of the canyon, just above where the meteorite was found, a disproportionate number of discolored smaller rocks and rock fragments were strewn throughout this area, appearing as a debris field. A few rocks bear the same markings as the rocks underneath where the meteorite had been found. They appeared to be infused as if by heat, and were strongly magnetic. If the meteorite impacted here at a lower velocity, over time, erosion has healed any visible wound that the mountain may have sustained. And like scar tissue, the fragmented rocks can only suggest what may have happened here. Without conclusive proof that this was indeed the impact site, there are other theories that cannot yet be ruled out. One possible explanation is that the meteorite arrived during the Ice Age. Its energy would have been displaced into a glacier and would have gently come to rest among the rocks below as the icy evidence melted and fell from beneath it. Perhaps it landed at the time when an ancient sea covered the Mojave Desert. Its energy would have been absorbed into the water, creating a huge tsunami. Its evidence virtually impossible to discover. These theories would explain why there is no visible impact crater like the one in Arizona. Fernando, looking for any other possible remaining impact sites, climbed through the canyon all the way to the top, finding no other evidence. This particular mystery may never be explained. In our research, the old woman was not yet ready to give up this secret of Lucky Nugget. It seems as if it was her lucky nugget, and so it is called Old Woman Meteorite, after the geography of where it was found. If there was ever gold to be found at the end of a rainbow, this was it. At the end of this shooting star that blazed across an ancient sky was a gem that the prospectors recognized and named Lucky Nugget. Today, if you visit the Old Woman Mountains and you listen carefully in the quiet of your camp, you might hear the old woman whispering a song of discovery in the desert wind.
Ooh.